Hey, so in this tutorial, we're going to learn to draw a pair of shorts. Daisy Duke cut off jean shorts. Really cool, all the little details you'll need to know how to paint it from scratch using Clip Studio Paint. I'm really loving this program again lately. So let's get started. And I had to put these like granny shorts on here. Originally, she was just going to be like in this black G-string underneath here. But then I realized, nah, man, YouTube ain't going to allow that. They're going to be like they always do and just try to ban me off into La La Land like I don't exist. They won't let me ride. They won't let me ride the cool kid school bus, you know. So I got to play along with their rules. So that's why she has these crazy looking granny shorts on. Right. So this is to show that we can start from scratch and start doing our thing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is let's just kind of stick with this kind of brownish outline. I kind of dig it. So one thing we could do to make this easier to see is we could take, let's go ahead and like another layer, put that behind, and we're going to fill that with white. Then we're going to turn this layer down. This will just make it easier to see this initial part, right? Now remember the jeans are going to wrap around, and let's go and make sure we're using the right color. I'm going to use what I can change color in a second. If we want to. Bam, just like that, wrap around, right? Think about it going around the body, wraps around like that. That's the inside, right? Boom, okay? And actually, that's quite thick. When that's the inside line. Then out here and have the outside line. And they come across like this. Something like that. I want to kind of show where that stitching is going to be. We'll actually add stitching. And actually, I want to make sure that and erase some of that so that when we fill this in, it'll fill in properly. Like this, and we're coming all the way across right here. I don't know, maybe a little bit further down, like right about there. We're come all the way down to like. Actually, come all the way down like that. This will be a little bit. We'll be able to see a little bit of the side line here, like this. Just remind myself. Then we have the inside part here. This will be where the line comes up. We won't be able to see any of that. Think about how far some head bone kind of go like this. And this is mainly just the outline so that we could. Something right about there. I'm gonna add the header part to that. That is, I'm gonna add the fluffy part to that, and we'll ship it right. So I'm thinking if right up here. I can draw this line I want to. Something about that. There they go. And then we're going to add the kind of wider frill stuff that comes off that way and add a couple, maybe just one apart spot right here, over here. A couple. I can show you how to do that. Sorry about the camera spot here. Like, that's not like it looking way down here. Should probably have some, it would, whatever. Actually, I'm going to do that. You know, so I got to grab this up and like it, so I can have something that's kind of like a table. I'm not drawing on. That way it makes my neck not look so bad too. Okay. Right, cool, that's nice. All right, now we're going to fill this in with some color. So we're just going to take like a nice kind of blue jean color, desaturated blue, something around about there probably. Okay, so we must have, or I must have, not filled in a line somewhere. This is on its own layer. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Did I must say? Oh, taller. Oh, I see. I was filling in the wrong layer. Something about like that. Then we're going to click on this icon right here. That way it allows us the transparency then. Lock transparency. That way we can't draw outside of the what's on this layer. Right, so we're good to go. Now we can start adding some color variation and all that kind of stuff. I don't really like that color. Let me think. Well, I'll leave it there, but let's go with something like this. Then at least my big round flat first to start kind of bringing in some basic color tones. I'm thinking over here we're going to have a highlight will work on like toward the end, but right toward the middle here is where it usually get more worn away, something like that. Let's take this tone here, make it darker. I was making sure it wasn't ready to go outside. Don't worry about the line. If you want to add, another layer to line work on it, you can. Unless I add the line work toward the end, I think. So I'm not too worried about that right in. You said like this. Why? Also, kind of like this side is definitely darker over here. This. All this under here is going to be darker. Collect right here. Now let's I can start adding some shape. But let's go back to this brush here. Make it big though. I'm already starting to think about some of the forms here that different folds are going to happen. And I'll talk about a little bit about those folds and you can make them cool. We have to a couple little folds in there, which we'll get to in a little bit. We don't want the details yet. Right now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to establish the overall form, the overall shape that this thing has. And I'm just trying to put in the hint at, some of the folds that I know are going to be there. Just because we're going to have to add them anyway. That's why I did that first part first, though. Just to get that down there. I think maybe we'll have a little bit of harder. We'll have a nice light like we have on the skin there. Now I can turn this back up to get a good idea of difference. And we'll start with it. I'm thinking it shouldn't be that far down, so let's go ahead and change the shape a little bit here. I think I should want to worry about there. We're not worried about all the details, all that yet. We want the main form to be there. So we have this darker part of the game, maybe even go darker than that. Really want to pull some of these shadows over here, and there's going to be a lot of darkness underneath there as well. Oops. Click back on what you're experiencing again. A lot of darkness in here. What all those are here to be dark. I'm trying to think about where the pockets are going to be. Somewhere like right about like that will block that way. You'll have the belt buckle right there. And then the other one has to be right where if you look at jeans, they're right on the inside of the pocket. That. I'm thinking if this is the center, then this should be more like here. All right, let's go ahead and back that up a little bit. So make it more like right part here, and the pocket here more like here. I really wanted to show the sides of it. I'm thinking this leg's kind of turned toward us a little bit more than that one. So I might be able to move this one a little bit more. There. That way this looks closer to us. Something like that. Cool, and that should be a nice base. You just want to have something that resembles a nice form, and then we can add our really bright light glow. I'm going to go all the way over, I'm going toward the warm side, right? I'm not going all the way over here to like yellow or something, but I'm going toward the warm. And I'm going to come right down, right about there. I think we want this really bright. And I'm actually going to use this much worse. So we'll come across the top right here. Want this top part to be nice and lit up. That's the seam or the hem part where we kind of see that. I'm going to go all the way across with this real quick. We'll doll it out as we get over here, but I just want to show that top rim there of clothing. It's something you can usually see. So this kind of just thin it out a little bit like that. Then you can take like the airbrush, for example, whenever we want something to kind of be in shadow. Take your airbrush, make sure it's on normal. Just kind of blend out that side. So that's why you can still kind of see the detail, but it's like more worked it out. More in the shadow. Right. And then I'm not worried about the work right now. I just want to focus on the shape here. So I want a couple wrinkles in here. They're usually thicker because this material is really thick. It's doubled over a couple times. Well, one, denim's already kind of thick. But in order to make this part where the belt loops is up through this part here, this whole seam is a lot thicker. So and I'm actually going to start hinting at this undershadow right here. Actually, let's use the paintbrush was. Just turn it down. Because it's quite neck, it's all breaking. We try to make it to where the camera sees me right and does what AI character picked me. Anyway, just add a very, very slight shadow here. Shadows are often softer, so something like that. Just cool. I might actually start to kind of eat into back a little bit just to kind of show. And I think I want to, there's going to be like a wrinkle here, so it's kind of just go like that. That's a good pocket area, going down. And all of this right here is going to be in or lit up like that, so like this whole area. Like this. All this is being hit with brighter light. It's basically being washed in, you know? The camera can't keep up with it, it's too bright. Typically you want to avoid that, but I think it looks cool in art, so still have it end up here and have it right there. I kind of want to match that actually, so it's going to match that right there. No, just it. And then it might have one of the part where another that wrinkle, maybe another wrinkle happens in here somewhere here. You can always change it, so it's fine. I might actually go a little bit brighter than that. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to change this to add glow and just add a little bit of it though. That looks cool. All right. I don't always do that, but sometimes it looks really nice. I was sticking with it. That looks really cool. It's comfortable with it. Right now here we can start adding some more minor details, but before we do that, let's start. Actually, before we add the belt loops, let's go ahead and add some. Yeah, now because that's the main form, and now we can start adding some extra layers of form, right? That is, now we're going to add. I still feel like this can be a different color, but this is fine. You can also start adding some color variation. Would be nice. I'm going to just do that with the airbrush again, like I did with the shirt. So let's go ahead and change this to color. I'm literally going to add some just really wild colors. Let's add a little bit of purple down here. Very desaturated though. Some desaturated colors up here. Something like that. Now I just have a little bit of color variation, some spoiler. But I'm going to add some of this up here. And so what I'm doing is there's like little spots where we're going to put that belt loop. There might be, some shadow areas like that. Put that one here. And then maybe where the button is, we'll have some shadow like that. And I'm going to go even darker than this. how do I guide? So thunder shadow right here. And then we're going to start thinking about the different shapes, or half I would say there, but no, let's go ahead and do this first. Something like that. I really want to kind of fool the shadows and make them a little darker. Same as try a little extra. I try not to go all the way to the edge because I'm thinking about some backlighting goes into the shadow there. Kind of lights it up and makes it about as dark. Something like that. And it's a bit stark. Take our blur brush here and start blurring some of this together. Yeah, and this is the thing, like you got to start somewhere, right? You build up and you build up and you build up and it starts looking cooler and cooler. And I do both when people I can. Yeah, so I'm thinking that's nice. We're on the right track here. Looking good. All right, so we're going to do right here in the center, a little off here in the center, right about here. We want to add a button. So start with a dark color first. That's where the button's going to sit in there. And then we can take our twist tool for now. Add this kind of light color here when you come off like that. Boom. And that way we can see the edge a little bit. We're going to come off just a little bit like this. Okay, and maybe you can see. Well, actually, we don't. There we go. But I'm telling. I'm going to kind of lighten this up a little bit like this. There we go. I'm going to take that darker color here. Just kind of reestablish that shadow. Comes underneath. And I'm that breathe the other ones here that have it. Something like that. All right. And then I'm go ahead and resituate this. So I'll say, let's go ahead and form some of that. Go. I'm thinking we might have a little bit of room like that. And what I try to do, at least I really like this brush, it's really good practice for trying to get your brush strokes in one stroke. I try to get what you want there in one stroke, and then you can modify it with the blender brush, which I like using the wet bleed blender. So I re-add that little detail right there. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this dark color, and we're going to, actually, we're not going to do that with the, oh no, actually. Something like that, and kind of hint it out for the edges. This is going to be like a shadow behind the button. And then we want like a little bit of a hole where it fits into. So that it kind of fits into a hole like that, and we're going to be able to see part of it as it slides over. And then what we're going to do is, they kind of fill it up and mess it up a little bit. And then usually you can see the sewing. I'm debating whether or not we should use gold thread or just use white thread. Probably a gold thread. And look, it's built in. You click on this brush set right here, the dashed line, just turn it way down so the brush is really small. Maybe not that small. About like that. And take this kind of gold color. We want it kind of darkish. Yeah, that's perfect. And then we're just going to sew right like this. Bam, and say a little bit like that. And that's going to give us that look like it's, actually. I see from a distance. I might have to go even bigger. Yeah, I think like that. I want to really be able to see the thread. That might be too big. We'll maybe see just how that's going to look everywhere else. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. That'll be the final details we add, but right here I just want to add it. That's true. That's a good word. Nice part of me. Right now we got to decide what kind of button we want. Maybe the same kind of color actually. Maybe just want to go something about like this. I think Levi's or something that was a wet matte color. Like this. Now you might want to paint this on its own separate layer. It could save some time. Emerson will kind of highlight this part of it like this. You want it to be flat though, so you don't want it to look like it's domed or anything, so kind of flat like that. Hang that gives a little bit of shadow that I wanted, and then I'm going to take this. I just want to give it a rim. So like this, a little bit brighter. And just give it that rim. Actually, what I'm going to do, use my G pen. Because, alright, that's too hard. It's kind of hard for me to see. Oh my God, look at my neck. It's all broken. I just looked up at the kid. Gotta try to keep my... Also, it's kind of good practice because it like trains me, I think, to try to keep my head up more straight when I'm working in it. Like better for my neck. Wondering why does my neck always hurt so bad? I'm kind of blurring out the edges so it's just not so sharp. Like blue ball, it hurts because you're done and you're not having good posture. Or it's not horrible posture, but you can have better posture for sure. Right, so that's good right there. So that's looking cool. And then we can just add, because all this material is really thick, I'm going to do like a little bit of thing right there. And then what I like to do is I like to draw the shadow first. So this kind of like, not draw, but paint the shadow here, coming down. This is the part where it goes about like that. I forgot what this part's called, but then it's going to come up like this. And so I like to draw this with shadow, a little like that. Maybe add a little bit of some wrinkles inside here like this. Maybe there's a wrinkle that's going to come all right here. So it's kind of here like this. Yeah, there's a couple indents right here. It's kind of wrinkles up, but it gets like kind of dented and wrinkled over time. And right here, I want to come off of that wrinkle. It's going to come over here. I've already kind of pre-established it. Now I'm just kind of making it more, kind of dedicating more to it. I start with a bigger brush. It's always a good idea to start with the brush bigger and then reduce it as you need to. And maybe this side only goes a little bit far like that. Yeah, so that's good. And then I want to really kind of start darkening it up here some more. But take this darker color and I'm going to grab that color now. What I do is I take the black color and I kind of paint into here, right? And then I grab that color so that way it's not clear black. So this is going to come all across like this. And I'm like sandwich. Blend it out a little bit so it's not so. There you go. I just don't want it to be too sharp with the edge right there. We're kind of pull up right here, get that little dark. That I'm kind of wanting, I want to do another one right here because with the leg right there, see where the leg is kind of pinching into it. I'm thinking that's going to be a good spot for there to be a wrinkle. Well, like that. Yeah, we got perfect. I want to pull in with this kind of brighter color right here, just like that. That's the shape, right? So the shape I'm looking for, what I'm thinking about, is I'm thinking about this shape right here, right? Then this is the wrinkle, then it starts flattening out as it gets over here. And then it just flattens out. But you want to kind of think about it. You're not just, when you're drawing wrinkles, you're not just drawing a hard, dark line. Think about that form. Well, hopefully, you're thinking about that form. And I'm going to cut into that so it gets thinner. Like this. Right. And I did it with darkness. And see that now as like there's a form there. There's more of a structure when it kind of fades off. Then you lose the brush and just kind of fade this like that. I'm kind of pulling the light into it. And I didn't kind of pull that dark out like that. There we go. I got it. Right. Another thing you could do is you could just put the whole thing in kind of a darker shade. So I'm thinking, I'm just wondering if that should come down further. Is that too far enough down? I'm thinking this needs to come down a little bit further. Farther. Let me redo this for a second. Let's kind of just add some colors here. Kind of blend this out a little bit. Go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I want this to be a darker up there like that. So, and then I want it should be more of a saturated color right about here. And now I'm want that to work like that. Just thinking about where the shadows going to be. I put a little more dark where it's right here. And this can come down just a little bit, probably right about there before it starts coming up like this. something like that.
And so kind of we're into having like
Yeah, and then there's gonna be the part that comes down real here. Right, we'll see in a second like why I like to start with it, with the shadow like that first, and then I come in and I kind of lighten it up just a little bit where the light's gonna be hitting. It's gonna kind of fade down and should like see none of that like that.
it's pretty
I guess a nice base to start from. You start big like this, and then you can start coming in and refining the shapes a little bit. Right? Start refining that little shadow
working everything out.
like that.
I cut kind of
And a lot of spots you have nice big open spots. You just have a nice open spot for tone.
tight. If you work it to like it again, but the thing to
Right, just individual nice brush strokes because from a distance it's going to read really well. Like here,
manipulation with broke up school, but then market.
I want to show that shadow. And again, this is the part that just takes a long time. Like once you get that main form down, that part's the easy part. Then you got to come in and do all this. This is the part that is just time consuming. It's not necessarily hard. It's just really time consuming. I really don't like it.
And how it
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show this right here. If I have, flattens out over there, but that's like a wrinkle right there. So think about the form again. The wrinkle that I'm showing here, this is it right here. And it flattens out. Right, so that's the main part that's bubbling over. And there's two dark sides on each side of it because, it's the form.
Washington.
Right, so imagine it coming down like this and then bam, hit this hill like that.
I did it.
And as we get over here, it starts flattening. See that? Where it's like, oh. So that's the kind of thing that we want to be thinking of. You don't want to just put random shadows. You want to think about the form. So here, this shadow here is representing the underside of a form. Right? There's a wrinkle here. So I'm going to kind of, but it's more flat like this. It comes up bigger like this, right? So it still has, so it's like, imagine the shape is like this. Coming down, it kind of comes across like this, and then coming down. So it's like, it's not going to work that, right? So it's been flattened out. So originally it was more like a bump, let's say. But sometimes you flatten out the bump and part of it. Does that make sense? Imagine you have this big wrinkle like this big tube wrinkle. That's the three-dimensional form. You draw it this way. That's the three-dimensional form like that. So it goes boom, right? That's the three-dimensional form, but we can flatten out part of it. Especially if we start from here and kind of flatten out like that, its new shape is like that. So that's what we see right here. It kind of ramps up and it falls off. See that? That happens a lot with material because the gravity is kind of pulling down. And we might have another one up here that's more of an actual tube. And so you can just draw that tube right there. Boom, that's your tube. That's the tube. And then you can draw a little bit of shadow on each side of it, like this, start darker or closer to this part right here. But like that. And then you can take the blur tool, go ahead and turn it down a little bit, and just right on the edges, right? Because we want to have that form shadow. Bam, see that? That right there gives us that nice shape order. Zoom in, see that, right? Just seeing those edges. And that's like a really fast way to do it. And even though that's a fast way to do it, guess what? You're still going to be doing this for a long time. Okay, I want to emphasize that because, like, it's, boy, is it time consuming, let me tell you. Okay, so where are we at? We're at like 28 minutes. We're making some good progress here. We'll kind of blend that out toward the edges so it gets, and blends out like that. Stuff like I meant to that too bright, that's fine. And then inside of that flat area, you might get slightly other indents, just little indents, little places where, with that, where it just kind of wrinkled up a little bit. Now, when we start adding the final details on top of all this, it's going to look really nice. And this is, I would call this like a kind of speed paint look, where we're not going for like super, super crazy amount of detail. That's the other side right there. And then I kind of want to have, and we'll do a slightly different shape here like this. And this is going to come all the way over here. And then I kind of want to take this tone. Actually, let's just go to this brush for a second. Just kind of pull it over a little bit like that. That's the big part where there was a... But when we start, adding the inks and everything and start really pulling out a lot of detail, it looks really cool. You'll see. Another trick you can do too is when you're thinking about these shapes, these different wrinkles, right? So I have this wrinkle happening here, which is really nice. I kind of want to pull into there. We can also add a little bit of, things like this, just to add a little bit of detail, like almost like texture, almost. Like that. There's a little bit of texture. Just kind of take this and kind of pull it up over. This kind of had some line work, like just kind of little lines. Like that on the edge. And that starts adding that kind of detail. And I might have to, either speed up part of this or something, though, just because it's going to get repetitive. So I like this right here. Let me see if I can capture this. Right, let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking right here. Maybe I should start over here. This is going to be like a wrinkle. Right, a tube wrinkle like this. A tube form. I guess we call it, a form. A fold. It's like a fold. And I want to go brighter here. So I want to kind of really, that edge right there, that's where we're seeing the change in shape. It's like part of there's like this form here that kind of drops in and goes over again like that. So we're kind of pull it out like that, kind of fade it as it goes into the shadow each side. And one of the tricks we can do when we pull this over here like this. There we go. I want it to go all over here like that. We can take our shadow and wrap it around the edge of it like that. It helps sell the idea that is a form there that has, it's a fold that has a pipe. We just call it pipe fold, right? So it is. It's a pipe fold.
What do you do? Nothing five.
And Franco, the wall of darkness here. That's really cool. And then let's see, we can have this other fold that comes down right there. We'll add a little dark right here, actually. I want all this to be really dark. It was a little bit of darkness right there. And something about like that. I don't want to go too dark, but definitely won't be dark. I want to be something like this. And then we can take our brush here to start. Yeah, end it out a little bit. That's good. That's why we want it like a place where the light has a really hard time reaching, and it reaches almost black. And it might look like it's actually not. It's not real black.
This tiny that
Cool one right there as well. Block them.
That's not pretty good. The things that
always look at the little thing over here, and also like to zoom out. Sometimes you can make this bigger, and that lets you work. Kind of want the darkness to come all toward the top right here.
Okay.
We'll not have to do dark all over too.
See, it's not enough.
Another thing that helps too is don't try to do everything from memory. Like a lot of things you can get away with and do from memory, but really try to make sure we look at some sort of references. Especially with, a lot of the wrinkles you can invent, especially if you like, once my course is done, if you take it, you'll see where I can invent a lot of wrinkles because once you have knowledge of how wrinkles work and stuff, really, you just kind of rebuild them. Like that. That's going to be the pocket. That's like a wrinkle that happens inside the pocket. But I'm only cooking shape it like this. Maybe a little wrinkle happens inside the wrinkle. Like that. That just adds some nice shape to the pocket. And we'll add the, the lines, the belt loops, everything. Yeah, this is trying to look nice.
Funny.
And it just from here, it's just how much do you want to glade it? We're kind of going around in circles right there, and just to kind of help show that it has form as it fades back, and we do the same thing over here. We get lighter and lighter pressure, like that. And then it'll collect for that, and that just kind of helps it fade off into a shadow. Last thing, add some more shadow here. It'll come up with this one. I just really wanted to show them that back there. Along the edge, I want the edge to become dark too, because when we added the fill to this,
That's the waiter, right?
so I'm leaving it nice and sharp like that for now without it folding over. You might be wondering, how come I haven't done where the cloth folds over? Because I'm not doing a seam there. I'm going to do it to where it's like Days of Deuce, where it's all filled, basically. And I'll show you like a quick way you can kind of achieve that. Right, so everything else here is looking pretty nice. I think I'm going to go ahead and start adding some of the details. Yeah, let's go ahead and start adding our similar ink details. So grab this nice dark color here. I wanted to show there's what's it called? The seams right there. That. It's a run across like this, down like this. Sometimes you can see like little, almost little circles like that, because it's it's where the material, the font, and that's folded over. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of here and there, just to add, if that, see that? And that looks like a seam. Seams usually have, the thread as well, so we can take our thread here, at least on one side. So we'll just put the thread on one side of the seam. Well, it's usually on both sides, but I think I'm just gonna use that color right there. And I'm gonna put this on its own layer. You'll see why in a second. Okay. I guess I'll put on their sides. And then I'm gonna take my kneaded eraser. Watch this. I can just kind of leave some of those details. But bam, it's that little pieces catching light here and there. And that's will look really nice. We're gonna take our paintbrush here again, make it look kind of small, but like that. And we're gonna take one of these neutral colors and just lightly brush inside of that shape, so the shadows are still there. And I did that on the wrong way. It's fine, whatever. I can always still do the same thing I did. Like this. We're gonna take that same code right there, carefully run across right here like this. Boom. I'm thinking we probably need a darker, or even not that dark. But I need I like that color, so I'm gonna do for now, I'm just gonna put it over here. That way I have it, I can reference it whenever I want it, and then I can just get rid of it later. Doing straight lines like this, I find it better to move my whole arm with it. And then when I go right here, because this is on its own layer, it's fine that I do it now, because I can always remove it. That I can always erase it and change it and stuff. I'm down like this. Boom. To across right here. Up right here like that. I'm thinking some of it might be brighter too. That's why I'm doing it on its own layer. I'll show you what I mean. Kind of gives that up. Because see, what I can do here is I can take my eraser and I can kind of erase some of that there so it goes more to the shadow. I can also click on the transparency lock icon next to this. I can, just where the light's kind of hitting it, where I think the light's kind of hitting the thread a little bit, I can just pop that out a little bit. Like that, see? It's really close. Right there. Yeah, looking fly. You gotta grab this color for the default. And you can like so bright so it up, or you want to. Actually, I don't need it. Make a little simple. Turn the transparency off so I can paint it in. more at the moment. I might be letting go of too fast. Like, bro, well, there we go. This is one where I think turn the transparency back on. I'm gonna hit it like that, especially over there. I kind of figured it. Then you can go more good than that.
I was surprised that it should be good. I know. I tip with the.
I think it's pretty cool. Right. And then I'm gonna go right here.
Just really tough.
I'm just gonna take a kind of a neutral tone here and go all the way like that. Just one nice stroke. Should do good. I'm gonna have to delete some of that layer. Check that over.
Let me clean up that good clean and yeah, clean.
Go back here.
It was still how it had it, but out of my though.
And this, I just want to put a little bit of shadow side of this thing.
It is one, but
In fact, the fastest way to do that is you take the shadow corner. I'm going to put it like right about here, because I don't have the dim coming. Is you just do that first. Do the shadow color first. Then come back in.
kind of turn it.
We'll just go like this.
But
yeah.
be tight.
Right, so I'll go like this.
Yeah, these sort of coloring out.
Then you can just take this and kind of fade it a little bit.
And by that people, one so he does quite specifically. Thanks to our data, and practice for it, but
Good.
myself go.
Back to this layer, just kind of delete some of those threads.
Thanks for attacking the good to this. How I'm getting place to one from the stone. And I ended it.
And some of this you can actually line, if you want to, you can actually line this with your,
Like,
then we'll add, you can brush, add a little bit of like notch like that, a little notch down here.
actually, wait, but I get that. Or that.
That's how they sew it on. So it has like, it doesn't really look like the dotted, it looks more like a notch. Let's start playing that.
Really how
Get a little. Some of this I'm going to be actually reinforcing it with lines.
all the
Leave it outside here like those.
now products in it, but they want to this. I do that this with why I'm good.
Sometimes I leave it like that. Other times I'll add the line with back like this. Boom.
You get by all the majority. Least that was the missing on this, but
It just depends on how I think I'm feeling.
you know, did everything to my loss.
But I want to line work into this.
I was thinking because the pay is a car.
So I'm trying to do all this now because I think I'm going to speed up.
And I did do the time. Make this thing not. Yeah, I feel that. That's we held I was going to listen to a lot of tip up in that thing. I built his everything on. I played whatever good to make the able to here. I'm looking at this now. Don't it I don't think this see the favorite all people so very cool.
I really want to show where that kind of lifts up right there. All right, all that's looking good. And then let's go ahead and add darkness right here first. So come back in with a lighter color, just like we did the just like we did that part right there. And it kind of just adds that natural look of the scene, Here, reduce the size, kind of just go like this. Do that again, because they typically have that kind of look to them. They'll get that wrinkled up and messed up. I'm also going to add a lighter color right here just to kind of show the edge sinew of that inside of that material like that. And let's go and grab this. Oh, on this layer go. Damn. That's fine. Everything's looking the way I want it to. Like that's now we have that pocket over there.
Believe in that year camera and we want to have a clear name. It's say that.
Yeah, everything's looking good.
After maybe we'll make it on after on the street. I'm think some of it I'll be trouble.
We might add a little bit more detail over here. We could add a couple more wrinkles and stuff, but I think it's pretty all right there. It looks pretty good.
No, because anything speaks that's what I'm doing that I didn't.
So I don't really think there's much else for me to do. Whoops.
I was ready to New York before.
Right, bruh.
You was there to have by the people came in late and I'm kind of real bit in the studio block. It's famous.
Right, so now we can make a hole in the shorts, and we can also add the frill. So to add the frill, we're going to take a lighter color like this, and we're going to go lighter and keep it nice and desaturated. We'll make a new layer for this. And we're going to start right on the seam like this. So I just want to kind of make an uneven line like this, just kind of purposely jig it around.
So it would be on hamper one mark.
Well, I'm going to put on its own layer so I can like make some of this go over the shadow really easy. We'll have it just like that, just like this. I just want to kind of start with this kind of thicker piece like this. Same thing over here.
Well, that's when you think how to burn the bangles into the entire some so that you out and then get the one this is the bill. All I'm saying to the kind of doing a bullet and telling it was on the concept.
Okay, now we'll emphasize that.
And never yeah, and there's
something like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and we want to do like a nice dark shadow color. So take this nice dark shadow color right here, and we're going to put it all the way across like this. And then we're going to take this, and we're going to kind of go like this with it. Purposely pull it down, like almost like you're making little tendrils, right? And this is going to basically act like the drop shadow of all these things we're about to make. We're not going to make a working brush either.
I thought daddy. I'd like to land on so good. Come to a master bars, never much watching to visit and boy to when you people magic some.
Or make a little bit of brush. There we go. Get the paintbrush somewhat small like this, and then start just kind of pulling out little threads. Like we'll just kind of like, don't go all the way over the shadow though. Like kind of like, see that? There we go. And also like try to go in different directions. Some of these might even go up like this. Get a little nice gap right there. This is just kind of painstaking. I've done this a lot, so I kind of got a rhythm that I do. A lot of this comes from, doing a lot of painting. And I just start developing quick ways to do things. Because time is money. And here's the thing. If you're like so against using AI, then you're just against making them. Right? Because if you're working commercial, think about this for a second. Think about what your time is worth. Right? And so in today's world, if you want to make it in any of these industries, in our industry, you're going to have to use AI. That's just the way it is, right? You're not going to be able to work fast enough. You're not going to be able to keep up with your competition. And therefore, you're not going to be able to charge as much as you want to charge. Because think about this for just a quick break here. And also, I guess I'm my own advertiser. Hey, so if you want to learn more about art, go to masterpainting.com. And I show you all the stuff. You can painstakingly do it. But I also show you the new techniques. I've had the courses now with new techniques where you can use AI as a helper, where it's still your artwork. You're still doing the work. And so here's the thing. Imagine that you do an illustration, a one-character illustration, and you charge $85. Now, $85 is a pretty decent price to charge, right? It's what I charge for one character, $85. And it's a very competitive price. You have to be pretty damn good, though, for people to want to pay that, right? If you're not that good, you have to charge less than that, like $50. Here's the problem. To do a good illustration, right? Like these shorts right here just took, already almost an hour? And they're not done yet, not quite. And I could, just to get to an illustration where the whole thing is to this level, which is nice. It looks nice. It's to a nice level. But to get the whole thing to where it's to this level is going to take you a lot of time. We have a full illustration of one character, really getting it down to where it's like nice and detailed. You're talking probably anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, just depending on how much time you really spend in each process. The whole entire sketching process is going to take at least 30 minutes. And then refining that with the character design and the clothes and how they're all going to fit, that's probably going to take you another, 30 minutes, at least an hour just to get that part done. Then you got to start blocking all the colors and the lighting and everything and think about all that. Then you got to start, actually blocking each individual color for each thing you're doing. And then you have to start rendering, or what we've been doing now, right? You have to start rendering everything out.
Yeah, I look at that.
If you're lucky and it takes you 5 hours, right? you might make okay money. That's if you're lucky. If it takes you 10 hours, you're only making $8.50 an hour. If you happen to be able to bust out an illustration that you're charging $85 for, and you happen to be able to bust that out in, let's say, 5 hours, very unlikely. Let's say you bust it out in 5 hours. Well, you're still only making like $16 an hour, right? Or 17, whatever that comes out to. That's okay. That's not horrible in today's world, I guess. You're not going to make a living off that unless you can do that, several hours a day, every day, right? You need at least a couple jobs coming every day just to make a living doing that. As a side hustle, even, you don't want to sell yourself short. You don't want to work for wages you want to actually work a real job for. Why would you do that? If anything, this should be paid. You should be paid more for something like this because it takes more skill and years of learning. Right? So don't sell yourself short, right? It's just ridiculous. I've seen these people. I guess if you're a teenager or something, it doesn't matter, whatever, charge whatever you want. But in the real world, in the real adult world, you need to make real money. Right? So even if it's just a side job, it doesn't matter. You don't want to cut yourself short. Your time is worth something and make it worth something. So, you're going to want to charge, if you were wanted to make more like $200 or $20 an hour, which is more respectful. Like, man, you can go right now and make $19 an hour here in Oregon, working late night shifts at Walmart, just being a stalker, just putting stuff away. Brainless job. You're making like $19 an hour, right? Like you can go, some fast food places now already pay you $16, $17 an hour. It's ridiculous that you'd make less. You want to make at least $20 an hour doing artwork. That's you're going to be paid at least if you get an actual job doing art. So here's the thing.
I know.
That means for $85, if the job takes you 10 hours, you want to charge $200. If you're super fast, I mean lightning fast, right? Then you can charge $100 for one character. If you can finish it in 5 hours. But if you use AI, you can finish it in an hour. Boom, look how much more money you're making now. You charge $85, you finish in an hour or two, you're making pretty good money. Anyway, use AI. I'm telling you, if it's commercial work, why would you not? Everyone's doing it. If they're not yet doing it, everyone's going to be doing it because that's what you have to do in order to keep up. In order to, otherwise you're going to be left in the dust without any work. Because, you're going to be like, I want to charge $200 or whatever. Or you're going to be trying to, make only $5 an hour or something ridiculous. And you have people like me that aren't afraid to use AI. And we have a workflow. And yeah, we're busting out stuff like crazy. And then it's like, we do something awesome and we bust it out quickly. And we can charge the same price. Or we can charge a little bit less. And we're still making good money. That probably shouldn't be there, but I like it. Right, anyway, so.
But it comes to that point.
All this is starting to look nice. I'm thinking this needs to be a little bit flatter or darker right there. I don't like that. So it's going to, I was just looking at it like, that kind of looks like weird. It looks like a diversion. Let's just kind of flatten that up.
And to say I can. So you could.
There we go. Yeah, looks cooler. Sometimes you need that hard edge.
I
know this isn't done yet, by the way. We have to come in here. Now we have to come back in with darker color, this bead color. And we just got to start making. Well, first off, actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the transparency, get my airbrush, make sure it's on normal. And we're going to take a kind of this, but kind of go more gray. There we go, a bit darker. So we want to just get all the inside darker as it fades out over there. And we want this to be brighter. Because that's where the edge is hitting. I don't want to go all the way white for a second. There we go. There it hits a little bit there. All right, so that way we have a nice. Oh, that also colored the shadow. I didn't think about that. Damn it! I should have did the white on its own layer. That can mark this. You can come back and add a little bit of shadow back into this real quick. Let's use the skin tone for that one. For this, just a little bit darker of a color. Kind of, oops, I gotta go like that. Add a little bit of drop shadow up here. Then we'll come back with the white now. Just gonna come over there a couple times. Need that colored. All right, so now we have all the tones that we need.
And I was probably to the developers so a
little bit darker for this section here. We just kind of want to show that there's some, overlapping happening. Just add a couple random shapes that are going in the direction of.
And
That's that.
let's take it simple.
Kind of want to do it a couple different directions and then kind of come back in like this. Same thing here. I'm going to add this kind of color here now. I'm just going to kind of come across like this. I'm telling you, this right here, to render this out, it looks super nice. Takes a long time. But this is a good shorthand, that it still looks nice. Because mainly you want it to look nice from a distance. That's the main thing. So that way when it's printed out, it'll look nice.
And
When the person views it online at a remote size like that, it looks nice. I'm not going to be totally zoomed in on it. Whether it's printed, when it's printed, it won't be able to see all those details. And then also when it's, you can zoom out when it's viewed at a normal, online size. Well, a little bit of brown in this, that means both too. Just like that, definitely more blue line. Also, I want to kind of take this, I just want to kind of fuzz out the edges here a little bit, make this really small, and just kind of fuzz out these edges right here. I don't want a super hard edge, right? I want it to kind of blend the edge of the shorts. That one's kind of coming up and sticking upwards, so I move it like that.
Yeah, right. System does it like about every side and
It's nice and nice fuzzies. And then lastly, because this is to be more like a, graphic novel or whatever. Graphic novel, well, I'm going to just take that color and go back into it.
How is it? Yeah.
We can add some final little details here and there. I'm going to come up with this little white spot here and there like that. And we'll start the color here.
It will be nice.
And then I'm almost like I'm coming in on the EQ part of it, like I'm lying in the center. Yeah? And this will allow us to see some extra details. That or pull like this. I'm trying to stay more to the edge of see that right there? Just stay on the edge. Yeah, that's good. And just add almost like doing little fur. Just some lines thicker, some lines thinner, some longer, some shorter. That just adds a nice variety. And then we're going to add just a couple parts of here where you have some shadows or mid-dark shadows. And then lastly, what we want to do also is we're going to take some of this darker blue material. Maybe even darker than that. And we'll just go like this just to kind of show. But what I'll just do is press with the dark line enough that. Yeah, that's fine. What I kind of lost here a little bit was. So we're going to add some of that back. Some of the dark shadows, we kind of lost some of that. Just add a little bit of that back still. Then I'm going to add the shadow like this. To make sure I keep that over here, I'm going to add this kind of shadow shape like this. I'm going to take that shadow color
I think that's the answer. You made it.
This the basic shape. I want to kind of add that shadow shape. So anyway, I'm going to fast forward this and just do the same thing on both sides now. One thing else you might want to do here is maybe add just a couple like that, you know. I'm going to take this color now and decide. Maybe some strings just come hair off. You know. You might want to start doing a little bit of a shadow on them like that.
Yeah. Well, you're a pretty collective blood. Close, good, point. The door proves the content, then you have to understand it through your to mess up.
Right.
And what those ones. What? You could have done. Then sit down to the looking. Lead the damn unfortunate. The tank doesn't want to, but the reality was to we for then I think the TV actually tasty way. We put the ideas for the random radio now. And so I like that we break the on that could be true. But I mean, they could come through to do with that. But it's true. I think I'll end it. And then I didn't about do that one. I do it. There's a talk shit. I think, yeah, I'll end one at a go. We're him. Just running back. And it will a lot. They played so much. I thought the cartoon and instead when it and one platform. They bring to me. Okay, it's probably one the Boston heading for that, but it was tough. Then it didn't last. I had to encourage you about it. Just open out so long. We were Boston's. We post squishy. He looked in the kid. They're good. Two boss one and try me in the bad house to do the regular wide on that and see how they go down.
So, let's see. I'm going to flatten all this.
I think the last year, people in the deep, they think you are something.
I don't like how this looks right here. This is still bugging me. No, bring that up like the. I'm going to bring this whole entire thing up like this. Oh man, this sucks compared to Photoshop. Hold on, we'll just try to push up on one lid with me. Yeah, it doesn't work, so there. A bit bigger even.
This is tough. Much bigger and
alright, this brush sucks.
And stay it's soon. So
what I'm trying to do is, I don't know, this just doesn't work the way I feel like. I didn't notice it at first, now I do. Let's big time.
by my good.
So I'm going to just really pull this blackness in here.
Talk up. It's got to be probably doing it, you know, we need to really be so it's intended. You know, but then actually so we need it up what the night is best in you have to think I'm continuing that I'll call hands up with me helping here some so what then you're looking invent that we so go any try but again my no I don't to see the one that everything's going to come back that portion and you just
try to add some peps back in there. And I think what I need to do is I need to really
good what they be good and put together both probably break on the close to opposite. No, just good put the gold how tears and I would come listeners. We found that. See how it's acting almost a slim one never the fit that were on in its best. Then it's only do that first line the split is on outside. It's kind of probably about it and like an object the heart of the quiet. The light of all that was now tell by and said it and it but you know like this is good. If like where the painter might be a piece, but I told you like the people to can see if the dude's the urban hot. So the way they want to be on the gully to a bit as well. But one day, but you really she's the thing that walked in. Okay, I probably both to me to make on the sunshine coming. Skipper dish to see it, they understood. When I was what big thing when you need to perfect so done here, food I can have. In front of but there's the state they don't really good time to take. You're always yet.
There we go.
You're just giving. Well, that then I met the thing there all the same God of them. With it, but they were thinking they was just that was the way they think about what you're going to walk about in every couple about them. And what I said, they met anybody got one. So that is it. And the creep session. And it was the thing that was like a cooks and the boil and folks they tried to get them caught on the thing, but yeah, it was really hot. Then went into it. I should walk to it. And here from she so she would be telling me like at this right. I had that people come up and where that is unless anything,
And when I do my signature, I usually pick some color that I just find interesting. So I like the shadow color. And sometimes it's a highlight color that's only appears like a small area. It might be the lip color or might be a short color or something. In this case, I like the shadow color. And that's what I would make. I have a new way of signing my email. It's actually what I used to sign a long time ago.
I'll make a way on. So it's like, but then I'm too interested that I've been commercial. I'm a student working at that. Just a special tenant meeting. And then I know, should get the camera phones, robot, they are. They call smelters that can die. Yes, look, you think about it, but you like that girl, or you will not see that. My mother, it's needed that I go to them. I expect that going. It's an like, but they didn't they didn't go there, but the doctor was then you have natural treats, only yeah, then say, they didn't like with the bird, we have to buy them at city. I would have want to come out that they would go to her. I think it's all to that met with it. No deep she would hear like to them with me. Yes, everybody tell that that's how they are. To the economy shuts in your code. We can also bear this and no, how I didn't reach the found it. I could not be probably bought 10 and I you're true bitch. And then I done to the community the cup and the connected person with having a share. But ours and right to about the way the state have felt and can to draw it to get them for who. And I'm out to burn and it's kind of hard and go to push on that on people that take it out the shoot normally that would you know as they feel that way people speak and they well didn't she's about it if you want it admits that also but you really like it for my public there's a five round in this lemon the photo from see this people they and then tell me about it. You were quite a great night. All right, like that one, yeah, I slept till the injured. You mind? That's they can let you go to the friend and we're there. And then I'd like their accumulated noise. My is that there's a lot of these spots of this that for me. Didn't you come to the the church? They don't see. Well, for trying to have it listen to it. They'll be down by me. And I'm like, the food bonus and it's just that I can be, you know, and what? After this deficit with their ball, what's it you answer? This is a good enough to be some of the nurse's tongue. Comedy paper, things with ball, this would be the things we go, you know, then come to the break, you're in the that way, then it luck, and now, there's my mom. What's about you make them feel that down the big thing of separate and to have standards of the boom one, and what wrong. Well, it's a different program. So that when you see me the beginning, but the light to what the then very more than to try. To I meant to stay watching about it, the breath with nothing, but the call. People had spent 30 centuries late with enough lot there, and I think it's like that for long thinking that that's a work that they're about it. They stand against it, it's true, but they was the bulletin songs there, like all of it. One of those thinking things, this one of them come one with Abraham's power. It's like that a bit good American Team 7 serving of need to for more food. But the rest of us, that one came out right. I'm part of the deal. But you haven't they go number of like what they drifted. Later, I think about everything night at center. We figured we'd go get those and I've been and then the ball size to the best character, the dual thing that is the bird. You know, Pokemon is a tech power thing. See, but that was one of our two on the boat side of the affiliate is that the tree that had some folks that don't think that right, that's nice to know. That they commit that killer, the fool and eat to be in the return. And close to what the power should all the stuff now. What is Robbie, they I could return. I'm fighting the killer. then he had my body. Something that's already terrible with it. No time with God. We can see what kind of test she went with the that I think only much as not truth for something may not come down for the end of the what I before. I thought that and seen something out of in double. They grind out on maybe spend on the sometime with that day. They have to break the young with them part on whether here. One of them should never be but two of them that's what it is to say why very much wrong run. They just like it's all the thing, this thing and I don't know if I see any. They're doing it up to not coming where experiment is very good from it. Damn it. The glad I can't. Now there's what it doesn't like that. For that time, it's a bit of that fan up there. I think that could be. Yes, I but there's some sports except every career. Let's see them do left good in during the consistent thing that there the three times you can walk to but foot. At the there, you guys been involved as doctors to help the weed. We don't want to just leave, but I got to leave, but there's something like, yeah, if I see it, I can take you never go and just make some fun. I can be kind of stuff and other things for that. Here, have it, the training up. Yeah. That's how stage. I think the come on. You get anything, shit, I know about how you're not built for land coverage. Well, right on, came up with a desk. I'm kind of, yeah, reach back. You're that very tech right here. Now, the thing about category doors, think good. What? Because they're like to make me stunt up in this building. Marked. Then he attached a course, but then having this. Then she falls with me, you know. You know that word, I was a complete base thing to me, but the way that all smart to what I did, but then just like the way, you know, but my father, the way to be clean, up for me. It's been that before, but few ways to school. From the building, it's like, I'm going to be the kindling gave me a bit of a big fool and do good, but it's not a what's all of it. I don't think it. You know, and you can buy it on the one to predict and build this street. Take off them. The trick when the money and bit. The other take that his Christ and conquer a big chicken western scene on the big watch up in the village in other steer. It's right over people. There's a part here that 50 years or something. And so I'm trying to the decent that I'm looking about. What is this again? It's saying a thing and I'll come here at the mobile one shop out in oh, God, just like that. It is the cardinal. Oh, there's a book. That they had up on that stack and you're involved. Oh, my God. You took one passionate on the street or kind of stop you day and that's it. I think the mean with the cool coming out with the good. I tried about that and we're thinking on it. I figured. Therefore, I thought we did it and die. Yeah, that's my cool. And it's not took I'm more about it. On top of where they think they were going to swap, it's going to shoot it in. And the brothers in this day, but the light standing shit, you know, our attic only kind of the I made it back, nothing that he went to. It was perfect. I mean,
Alrighty then.
then we will time Richard.
That's all, folks. So, hey, you know, check out those links in the description. Bunch of cool stuff to learn. And also, I have all my adult content on DeviantArt. So if you want to learn how to paint explicit stuff, it's all there.
It's most of the line.